Hi guys, this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I don't usually make stuff like this. This is not my usual content, but some of this stuff needs to be said just because it makes me uncomfortable to have untrue information out there, and hopefully this can clear it up a little bit. If you guys don't know who I am Brielle, and I run this channel. I don't know like what content you guys watch, so maybe there's some that doesn't have my face in it or whatever, but I run this channel with my service dog Arlo, the standard poodle, and I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I'm a part-time wheelchair user, and I have a couple other disabilities as well, but those are the main things that I talk about on this channel. It's my disabilities and my service dog. So there's an account on Instagram right now, which I am also on Instagram under the same usernames, or Zebra and Dog. And this account is called MaddogChick99, and they have been posting some stuff about me that makes me pretty uncomfortable, and because of my work situation, I actually can't block them. So they're able to see all of my posts, and they're able to do whatever they want. They can comment, you know, stuff like that. I'm not able to block them just because work doesn't allow me to block people from my accounts that are associated with my clients. So some of my clients contact me through my Instagram, so I have to have that line open. So I'm working on having my boss allow me to block this person, but until then, I just want to address some of the things that they said so that I can give you guys the correct information on what they're saying. This video is not in any way going to be about the situation that was going on a few weeks ago, like these past couple months, basically, with someone else on YouTube. She and I have basically come to an agreement that neither of us are going to mention each other, like, at all on each other's channels anymore, and that situation has basically died down. Both of us have privated all of our videos that had any mention of each other in them, so I will not even be mentioning, like, her name or anything negative at all. We just decided that that would be what is best for both of us. We figured that maybe actually what's going on is that someone else is trying to pit us against each other. So that's how we feel like this situation is going. So this person did make 2 points saying, like, these are two things, the two reasons that she's calling me out that were actually about this other person, so I'm not going to mention those. But there were a couple other points that she made that were not about that other person, so I am going to talk about those. This person's name is Maddie, or at least that's what she calls herself. She does say several times on her page that her real name isn't Maddie, but, you know, that's, for all intents and purposes, that's the only name that I have for her. Her post, and I will put a screenshot of her post right here, says, and I'm not going to mention those first 2 points, but then it says that I say that I have a boyfriend, but I don't, and I'm lying because I'm dating Michaela, and my boyfriend has no idea that I'm even saying these things. Arlo is not a purebred, and he's not well trained. I say that I have EDS, but I don't. I'm faking. I have a wheelchair that I don't need, and I paid for it myself because they wouldn't prescribe it or cover it. So I'm going to talk about each of those things in order and give you guys a little bit of information on each of those things. We'll be giving you like a little bit of like actual photographic evidence. However, I will be covering up what I'm uncomfortable sharing because this is my personal life. I don't owe anyone anything. I'm making this video purely to clear my own conscience. You know, my reputation matters to me in a general sense. However, it's not the most important thing in the world. And giving out my dog's breeder or the name of my doctor is not something that I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be giving out the information that I'm comfortable releasing. So I will be blocking out whatever it is that I'm uncomfortable showing to you guys. And I hope that you guys will be understanding of that. If you have any questions that I do not answer in this video, you can of course scroll down to the description, and my email is always in every description of every video that I post. It's the ninja.ice.cream.truck@gmail.com email address. It's just my email address where all of my YouTube emails go, so you can email me there. I understand it's not very professional, but that's what it is. So the first point that she made was that I was faking my boyfriend. My boyfriend's name is Charlie. He and I are both 21. We are 4 days apart in age. I'm a little bit older. We've been dating for about 7 years, and we are a long-distance couple, which is why you don't see him in very many of my videos. He is in his clinicals right now, and he is a senior and I am a junior. We've gone to multiple proms together, like we've been together for a pretty long time. Our relationship hasn't always been perfect, but, you know, we've been together for a pretty long time. I'm unsure of how I can necessarily prove that to you, but, you know, I have pictures of him around my room, everywhere. They're all over my room. There's another one. There's one right there. There's one up there of us with Arlo. There's a couple on the sides right there. I don't wear it too often in videos just because when I'm dog training, I don't wear it. This is the promise ring that he got me a couple years ago. It is Tangled themed because Rapunzel is my favorite Disney princess. The second point that this person made was that I am supposedly dating my best friend, Michaela. First off, it's not my place to say this necessarily, but we've talked about it before on multiple platforms. Michaela is asexual. She did have a boyfriend when she and I met, but she's no longer dating this guy, and she has basically decided that she identifies more with someone who's not interested in that sort of relationship. She is definitely not interested in women. Neither of us have ever thought of each other in that way. And I think it's almost funny just because that's just definitely not the relationship that we have. I love her, but not like that. I don't really know what else to say. We're not together in that way. I can see how people think that because we spend a lot of time together, but there are multiple reasons for that. Number one, she lives right across the hall from me in our dorms, just really convenient. We met when she found my GoFundMe to get my own service dog on Facebook, and it just so happened that we were going to the same college and we're around the same age, and we became friends quickly after that. We've done our best to be close to each other most of the time just because I think both of us are sort of clingy people. And then second of all, I'm her trainer. So I'm Toby's trainer. So we spend a lot of time together, especially on camera, because a lot of what we do on camera is dog training. So a lot of the time that we spend together, we are filming because we're dog training. Thirdly, this girl said that, Charlie isn't on social media, and so that sort of proves that we're not dating. I don't really see how that proves that necessarily. I can see how that's kind of weird because he is a 21-year-old adult in this day and age, and not being on social media is kind of strange. But that's just kind of the way he's always been, his whole life. He's never really enjoyed social media. The social media account that he has now, the Flynn Rider account that he has on Instagram, I actually asked him to make a couple of years ago when I was into reborns, which are the realistic baby dolls. If you scroll far enough back in my YouTube, you'll be able to see a couple of videos that I made about my reborns at the time, box openings and stuff. I asked him to make that Instagram account so that he could show off some of the dolls that I had given to him. I had given him one of my dolls, and I just wanted him to be a part of the community. That's what he did. And now he doesn't really use the account for anything because I'm not in the reborn community anymore. He does have a YouTube channel, but he mostly just posts music on it. It's not for anything specific vlogging or anything like that. He just uses it to post his music. He really is very passionate about his music. He does a lot of mashups between two different songs. He really likes 21 Pilots and different musicals, so that's what he usually does. He likes writing music with GarageBand, so that's what he uses his YouTube channel for. So Charlie is not on social media, and that's just his personal decision, his personal choice. That's what he's comfortable with. So no, he does not like a lot of my posts. He doesn't comment on a lot of my posts. And that's why. It's because he's not on social media a lot. He does scroll through his phone on Instagram on the reels and likes those, but up until the other day, he wasn't even following me because he doesn't follow very many people. He follows a couple celebrities that he likes, and that's it. I agree, he should have been following me, but that's just, his own prerogative, not my problem. Number 4, the claim that Arlo is not a purebred poodle. Let me start off by saying that to me, it does not matter if your dog is a purebred or not. I think that mixed breeds can make great service dogs. I just also think that purebreds have a higher chance of succeeding at being service dogs. This is the fact that you kind of know what you're going to get going into it. When I got Arlo, I knew exactly sort of what I was looking at. Okay, here's the average temperament for a poodle, average grooming for a poodle, average exercise needs for a poodle, average dietary needs for a poodle. That was all expected. Versus when someone gets a mixed breed or a mutt, I guess, you don't really know what you're going to expect. So people who can get mixed breeds, I commend you. You guys are great. One day I would love to own one, but for right now, that wasn't something that I could go with.
Just a little bit of a disclaimer as to what I meant right there. Basically what I mean is in that situation, I was not living by myself. I am living currently most of the time with my parents, and my Stepdad does have some issues with dogs. He is a little bit afraid of dogs, as well as having issues with like the smell and stuff like that. He doesn't like shedding, that kind of stuff. So I had to go with a dog that had minimal to no shedding whatsoever. So a poodle was my best choice there. And then second of all, I have sensory processing disorder, so the fur had to be a certain way for my sensory issues to be able to handle it. And third of all, grooming is it's very calming to me. So the grooming of a poodle is something that I really enjoy doing. So it just basically meant that a poodle was the best option for me. So I did have to go with a purebred dog in this sense. But maybe in the future I will go with a mixed breed.
I do have a purebred poodle. Arlo is a purebred standard poodle. He is what's called a party, which means that he can have multiple colors. He is black and white. He is a tuxedo pattern. His parents were also black and white tuxedos. I'm not going to give out his breeder, and the reason for that is just because
I gave out Arlo's breeder's name to a couple people when I first got him because people seemed really interested in getting a puppy from this breeder. And I was like, oh my gosh, you should. She's amazing. But when I did, they reached out to this breeder and immediately started harassing her, saying that she should not have given this dog to a service dog home, to a working dog home. They should not have given the dog to a home that uses balanced training methods. They should have only gone to a purely positive home. Poodles are not meant to do mobility work or whatever. So this breeder was getting harassed, and it just really wasn't okay because she really doesn't deserve that. She's amazing. I love her. And she doesn't deserve that sort of hatred. So for that reason and a multitude of other reasons, I just don't plan on ever giving out his breeder's name ever again.
So that's why I don't give out his breeder. I do not plan to. But I do love Arlo's breeder, and I do plan on using her for the foreseeable future. Arlo is purebred. I will be showing his AKC documents here. I will be showing his family tree, his registration. He is registered under the AKC as Arlo the service dog. I couldn't come up with a very original name. That's just the name I picked. So that's what he is. Number 5 is Arlo isn't well trained. So I find that pretty funny because if this Maddie did any research on me at all, she would know that I am a professional trainer. And she would also know that I post tons of training videos on my YouTube channel. I post videos of Arlo, like, of live alerts. I have live alert videos on my channel of him actually, like, alerting in public to live medical episodes. I have videos of me training him new tasks, videos of me training him things he's never done before, videos of me training him tricks he's never done before. I have videos of him going through all of his training cards. I have laminated training cards of everything that he knows and will ever know, like all of his tasks, skills, tricks, basic obedience stuff, everything. I have all of those like in laminated cards, and I have videos of us going through those on my channel. So I do find it pretty shocking that this person didn't do their research to find that out. Arlo is very well trained. Anyone that has seen him in person will tell you that. If I can, I'll contact a couple people and have them like make videos saying that he is well trained.
Arlo is one of the most well-trained dogs I've ever met. Gabrielle has put a lot of work into training Arlo, and it definitely shows just being around him and being around her. They just are such a great team. He follows directions 99% of the time. You know, Arlo just really loves working and he loves what he does, and yeah.
Hi guys, my name's Carissa, and I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Arlo this past summer. I have been best friends with Brielle's boyfriend for 7 years now, I want to say, and I've known of Brielle for at least that long. I think I've met her in person since about 5 years ago. This past summer we got really close, and she came down to visit Charlie, and I live in his hometown, and she brought Arlo with her, so I got to meet him for the first time, and he impressed me so much. He is so well trained, so well behaved, and I've met service dogs before. I have a good friend whose sister has type 1 diabetes, and she has a service alert dog. So I've seen dogs working in professional settings, and it's always impressed me. Arlo, this dog that I knew she'd gotten somewhat recently and, worked with a lot herself. I knew he was talented, but, I saw him in person and it just kind of blew me away how well behaved and well trained he was. I got to see some of his tasks that he'd learned. I'm sure he's learned more now and, gotten more familiar with some of his tasks since then, but I got to see some of his alerts. I got to see his little orbiting. I thought that was really cute. And a lot of the time we hung out at my house and he was off leash. And my own dog actually was, inside our house whenever we were outside, kind of barking up a storm because she wants to, meet the new dog and play with him. But the whole time, well, not the whole time, but a lot of the time when we were outside, just us and Arlo, he'd be off leash, he'd hear my dog barking inside, but seemed totally unfazed by it. Super calm, super chill around new people, new settings. Even when he got to meet my dog, he was super, super great about it. Always paying attention to Brielle and, listening to her if she told him to do anything or any of his tasks. So in that regard, he's so well trained, and having a service dog I think has been really, really, really great for Brielle, and they just work so well together. You can tell he adores her, and honestly I think she really, really needed this and has really benefited from him. And the way she's trained him, I cannot even imagine being able to train a service dog, but she makes it look so easy.
Number 6, this Maddie person said that I am faking Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So, in order to fake a disorder like this and still get a diagnosis, which I will show you guys my diagnosis here. In order to fake this disorder and still get a diagnosis, I would have to have faked the Baton score, which would be pretty difficult. Secondly, I also would have had to have faked multiple other things. Let's take a look at what the HEEDS diagnostic criteria are. So, the current diagnostic criteria for hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is what I have. Criteria 1, which is generalized joint hypermobility. One of the following is selected. So I scored a 7 out of 9 on the Baton. That's criteria number 1, which is joint hypermobility. Criteria number 2, which means 2 of the following features must be present. So with feature A, so I have to have unusually soft or velvety skin, so I have that. Skin hyperextensibility. My doctor said that I have that. I don't really see it. I don't really see it. Bilateral papules of the heel. I do have that. I do have these little bumps on my heel that happen sometimes. I will attempt to show you guys one of them. So one of them is right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but like if I push it a little bit, you might be able to tell. It's right there. There's a little bump. And they just kind of show up and they don't really do anything. They just kind of sit there, but it's a little bump. And it just kind of exists. Sorry, my foot's kind of gross, but there it is. Just existing. Those guys do kind of come and go. Sometimes they're more prominent, sometimes they're not. And then I don't have hernias, atrophic scarring, so I do have some weird scarring that happens. I think the biggest place that I have it on is this knee. I've got this purple-ish scar. I don't know if you can really tell, the lighting isn't the best. I do have kind of weird scarring around that knee. It used to be a lot worse before I started using this medication gel on it. It's gotten a little bit better since then, but when I was at my appointment, they did consider that an atrophic scar. I do have dental crowding problems. The palate issues that they normally have, I will show a couple different like dental shots from when I was younger getting braces. So that problem was not resolved with braces, and that's something that commonly happens in EDS. Is basically you will have this these dental problems, and you will get braces or get treatment, and it will keep happening, and that's just because your gums and the things that hold your teeth in place are too weak. They can't hold your teeth in that spot. Your teeth are just going to move back. The walker symbol, I have that on both sides. So I do have at least 5 in feature A. And then I do have feature B, which is positive family history. So almost entirely on my dad's side, I have multiple people on there who have EDS and dysautonomia and POTS. And feature C, musculoskeletal pain in 2 or more limbs, recurring daily for at least 3 months. Yup. Chronic widespread pain for more than 3 months. Yup. Recurrent joint dislocations or joints instability in the absence of trauma. Yup. I crack my joints all day, every day. It never stops. My back cracks all the time. I have scoliosis, and my elbows crack literally all day. My shoulders crack. I dislocate things a lot. It happens. And then criteria 3, all the prerequisites must be met. So absence of unusual skin fragility, which would prompt consideration of other types of EDS. So the reason that this didn't prompt other considerations of EDS for me is because this is the only thing that wasn't accurate. So I do have skin fragility. When I literally I haven't done anything, but I literally just opened a cut in my finger somehow. Things will happen where I will just touch something and I'll just break my skin open. I bruise really easily, that kind of stuff. So my skin is semi-fragile. I do have to have special stuff on my wheelchair for that. The fact that that's the only thing, they're thinking that just might be part of reduction of collagen. Exclusion of other hereditable and acquired connective tissue disorders. So there are no other connective tissue disorders that my family has genetically. They don't have lupus or rheumatoid arthritis in their family. So that kind of stuff. Exclusion of alternative diagnoses that may include joint hypermobility by means of hypnotonia. So there's a bunch of different other things that they consider it, like osteogenesis imperfecta, those types of things. They're excluded based on history, physical examination, and molecular testing. So for me, those things were excluded just based on the fact that they didn't run in my family. They weren't hereditary in my family. And I also did a lot of blood tests and a lot of physical exams to make sure that those things were not what was causing these problems. So my diagnosis is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 3, and that's what causes a lot of my symptoms. It causes a lot of different problems for me that aren't included just in these different criteria. The blood pooling is probably my biggest issue. It causes the blood to pool in my legs, and it causes me to pass out. That is the biggest issue. The reason that they did not diagnose it as POTS is because I don't have tachycardia when it happens. I just have the intense drop in blood pressure. And the fact that they basically said that the reason that it happens is because of the fact that the collagen that's supposed to be around my blood vessels isn't there. So my blood vessels are not strong enough to push the blood back up to my head. So that's why that happens. Which is also why when I pass out or when I'm feeling really dizzy, I will lay on the ground and Arlo will burrow under my knees instead of do deep pressure therapy. It's because him laying under there helps the blood go back from my legs. It gravitationally helps the blood go from my legs to my head. I'm not faking Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I have it. I have a lot of different symptoms that go along with it, and it's one of my main disabling conditions. So, yeah.
We got much closer this past summer, playing games online together, talking over Skype, and of course she came down to visit for longer. And I know she only recently got her diagnosis for EDS, but she has always had the symptoms even before we knew she had it. She'd always kind of show off her hypermobility and bend her joints in ways that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I always thought it was kind of cool, but knowing now what it is, it makes a lot more sense why she's able to do all this kind of freaky stuff with her body. And obviously she's always had, fainting spells, dizzy spells, Since I'm not with her in person all the time, I can't say I've seen many of them in person, but I've seen, her joints flare up. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis, so I know what it looks like when your body's having kind of an immune reaction and how it manifests in your joints, and I've definitely seen that. Definitely some freaky stuff with like her veins and her blood, but I've seen it all in person, especially now that she got the diagnosis and she's able to point them out. It's clear as day. But even before that, it always just made me sad, because we could always tell that, she had physical limitations, but the doctors were never able to give her a complete diagnosis. And she honestly kind of inspires me, realizing she has these things to live with and to manage day by day, but she doesn't let it faze her at all. She just keeps kicking butt and has kind of made a name for herself. So I've always thought that she's kind of special in that way. And it makes me a little sad that now there's people on the internet accusing her of not needing these things, and accusing her of being a liar and a faker, when I've, known her in person for many years and have seen firsthand some of the damage that EDS and everything else has caused in her life. And like I said, she just takes it in stride and goes with it and keeps trucking on, because she just has that kind of spirit. But I've always known and I've always seen her, coping with these and struggling to cope with them, and it's really kind of hard to see people doubting it. It's really easy to throw around accusations on the internet when you don't know them in person, and of course every disorder will present differently in every single person.
Look, my clothes changed. Sorry, this part of the video got corrupted, so just gonna refilm this part really quick. Basically, what happened was, my mom, when I was younger, lost medical custody of me because my parents got divorced, and then my mom lost medical custody, so she was not allowed to take me to the doctor or have any say in any medical decisions regarding me. So when I was having medical issues, even though my mom sort of knew about them, she couldn't take me to the doctor. It was supposed to be my dad's job. So if she were to take me to the doctor, then she would be in contempt of court and get in big trouble. So I would ask my dad to take me to the doctor, and he would say no, or we would go to the doctor and he would tell the doctor that I was lying, or that I wasn't telling the truth, or that I had hurt myself like way worse than I had. So like he, let's say that I would tell the doctor I woke up and my arm was dislocated, or I woke up and my shoulder was dislocated. He'd say, no, you fell down the stairs. What are you talking about? When that wasn't the case. I had actually woken up and my arm was just dislocated. So he would lie to the doctors about stuff like that. And I had been having blood pooling issues that didn't necessarily always make me pass out, but they were making me dizzy, and I was having problems like that since I was very young. You can see in some of these pictures my legs would swell and get red, even when I was really little. So this sort of stuff went on for a really long time, and when I was 18 and I was finally released from medical custody of my father, I was able to start going to doctors on my own. And when I was 18, my mom found me a pretty good primary care physician. I went to see her, and I saw her for a year, and she wasn't very helpful. She wasn't very knowledgeable. I'm sure she was really smart, but just not for like the issues that I was having. So I went to see someone else, and she was pretty helpful, and she was like, well, normally a lot of these issues run in families, so why don't you talk to both sides of your family and see what information they have. So I talked to my dad's side of the family about it. I went to go see my grandmother on my dad's side without telling him. I no longer have any contact with my father. And I told her, my grandmother, hey, does any of this stuff run in our family? And she was like, well, we do have a couple things that run in our family. And I was like, okay. And she gave me this big litany list of a bunch of different dysautonomia conditions, including EDS. being the most prevalent. So she gave me a bunch of medical records. I was able to give those to my primary care doctor at the time, who then referred me to a rheumatologist and a pain management doctor, the pain management doctor being one of the top Ehlers-Danlos syndrome specialists in the country. And I went to the rheumatologist and got diagnosed with EDS. And that's the end of the story.
And number 7, the last one, basically they're saying that I don't need a wheelchair. First of all, I just want to get this out of the way. They basically said that my insurance wouldn't cover a wheelchair in that short of amount of time, which in my other video I did mention that it was about 76 days. That's how long it took me from the date of my appointment, which was July 16th, I think, all the way to when I got my chair. That's a pretty good amount of time. It's almost 3 months. The reason that it happened so fast is because, first of all, I had been talking with my insurance about this for a while already. I'd been talking with my doctors about this for a while already. So they were all ready for this process to begin. Secondly, as soon as we had this appointment, the dealer was like ready, they had like sent everything off, and then my insurance only took 1 day to approve it. So normally it would take a while for insurance to approve that, but it didn't. It took only a day because my insurance is my dad's insurance. He's on an insurance that only is used by just like a small union of people. So there's always the joke that there's only 10 people in that insurance office. I talk with the same guy every time I call. His name is Steve. I love him. He's great. He's the person who approves or denies all of my claims. He's awesome. And my chair got covered 100%. The chair was really expensive. I'm not gonna like give you guys how much it was, but there's no way that I could have afforded it by myself. It was basically fully custom. I could not have afforded this by myself in any way, shape, or form. No way would that have happened ever. But it happened so fast because I did my best. I pushed. I called, like, this happened. You know, they had my appointment, and then that next week, I started calling right away. I was calling the doctor to make sure they sent everything to the dealer. I was calling the dealer to make sure they sent everything to insurance. I was calling insurance to make sure that they approved and the dealer sent everything to the manufacturer. I was calling the dealer to make sure they got everything from the manufacturer. I was calling the dealer to make sure that they had put everything together. And then as soon as they were able to deliver it, we scheduled, like they said, okay, we just finished putting your chair together today. Can we deliver it tomorrow? And I said yes. So yeah, it happened pretty fast. I will say that it did happen relatively fast in the grand scheme of things. For me, it felt like a long time, but I've never ordered a wheelchair or any other type of medical equipment like this before. So I can understand that there are probably people in other circumstances that might not have the same experience as me. I'm lucky that I am not on state insurance. I am lucky that I'm still on my parents' insurance and I'm not someone who has to worry about like being denied this kind of stuff, because my condition does warrant it. You know, like I do have like, you know, significant evidence of my history of being in physical therapy for a large portion of my life, and having these medical issues for a large portion of my life. And I would get concussions a lot. It just, like, my insurance was already under the knowledge that this was something that was occurring, that this was a medical condition that had to be taken care of. So this wasn't like a big, like, I get diagnosed like 1 month and the next month I want a chair. Like, that's not what was happening. I meet my deductible, like my out-of-pocket pay every year pretty easily. So that's the first thing, you know, like, insurance did pay for this chair, okay? I never would have been able to pay for it myself. This wheelchair was several $1,000s, I'll just say that. I never would have been able to pay for it myself. And the thing is like, it sucks that I have to talk about this in this video, because I really was planning on making a whole separate video about like my EDS diagnosis story and stuff like that. I wanted to make this a video that I was going to make when I was ready to make it, because it's a really tough subject for me to talk about. Making this video is taking kind of a lot of courage to talk about, because it's just a hard thing for me to think about and remember, because it hurts, you know. But sometimes things happen where other people decide when you are going to talk about something. I don't know. So that's where we're at now, is this person is harassing me, and so I'm gonna this Maddie girl is harassing me, so I'm gonna talk about it. About me not needing the wheelchair. Let's talk about that. I made a whole video titled Wheelchair Tour or whatever, talking about the different parts of my wheelchair and why I need them. I thought that that would be enough. Obviously it wasn't. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put up the different pages of my wheelchair evaluation, and you can pause to read them if you'd like. I'm gonna cover whatever it is I'm uncomfortable with having you guys read or having you guys see. Proof that I need all of it, I guess. Sad that I have to share my medical documentation, but here it is. So I do need my wheelchair. I use it part of the time. I'm not a full-time wheelchair user. I'm a part-time wheelchair user. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. I use it when I'm having an off day and I feel like I need it, or when I am thinking, okay, we are going to Disneyland today, and I think that maybe it'd be a good idea for me to conserve as much energy as possible. Stuff like that. If I am sitting in my bedroom all day and I just have to go to the bathroom, I'm not gonna get out my chair. If I am just driving over to work, if I'm walking out my dorm building and driving to work and then walking from my car in the parking lot to work, but if I'm walking across campus to class, then maybe that's different. Or if I'm walking, you know, if Michaela and I decide that we're gonna go train, that might be different. So I use it based on when I need it. And I feel like I am really blessed to have this piece of equipment because it is really helpful for me. But there's tons of different situations where someone with EDS might have more energy one day and less energy another day. I conserve my energy, I really do, because the days, you know, for 3 days that I'm laying in bed or only getting around using my wheelchair, there's one day where I'm able to run around for 20 minutes in a field with my dog. And to me, that's worth it. To me, that's good.
I know Brielle was looking at the possibility of having wheelchairs, or having a wheelchair as like a mobility aid for ages. And even though it was kind of hard for her to accept it in the beginning, she was finally able to get one, but it wasn't like a spur of the moment decision, you know. She had it approved by everything. I remember her talking about it for the better portion of this year, at least. So if you guys have any doubts there, like, ask her about it. But also, you know, you can take my word for it. I know you guys have never, like, seen my face in videos before, but I've known Brielle for pretty much the majority of my adult life. And I can say with absolute certainty that, yeah, she is completely genuine in everything she does, and even when people hit her with these accusations and think she might be lying, you know, you're not always seeing what's really happening in person. And I think it's important to remember that there's no reason anyone would lie about this stuff. I know it's the internet, but, you know, if you're on her channel, you're there to learn more about the disability or about service dogs, not to try to point out flaws. So, kind of sad this is happening, but super proud of Brielle for everything she's overcome and for dealing with all this way better than I ever could. So, that's it for me, I guess.
So, I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys get it. I know that was kind of long-winded. I hope that it was understandable. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, nothing is rude or off limits, I guess, at this point, because, you know, like, what else are you going to ask me about that could possibly hurt my feelings? Go ahead and ask in the comments section down below. I'm willing to publicly answer almost anything. Or you can email me in my email, which is always in the description of every single video that I post on my channel. It's the ninja.ice.cream.truck@gmail.com. It's in my description. Or you can Instagram DM me on my Instagram, which is @zebraanddog. zebra.and.dog. I will do my best to answer everything you guys have, because, you know, if I am asking for support from people, then I should be able to answer your questions, if that makes sense. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Another thing, do not go and send hate to this account, this Mad Dog Chick account, okay? I do not condone anyone sending any hate at all. I do not condone anyone even commenting on any of her posts. Don't condone that. No, not at all. I do not condone any contact with this person. I do not condone any contact with this person whatsoever. She is obviously very toxic, and I don't think that she should be on the internet, but this is where we are. She is on the internet, and, you know, we can't really control other people's freedom of speech. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in whatever we make next. Hopefully it's a little more lighthearted next time.